look at those mythical figures over there.
Yeah, they're used as decoration of the palace and also to ward off the bad luck and ward off the lightning in the Forbidden City. And throughout the whole country, this building carries 11 mythical figures. 11 is the maximum of the building. 9 animals in the middle with 2 human figures in the front and in the back of this line. The first one is a man riding on a rooster, and followed by the Chinese dragon, phoenix, lion, seahorse, heavenly horse, 酸泥、亚鱼、蟹豸、斗牛、行石. All the mythical figures, none of them is real. All the mythical from imagination. They are doing such duties of warding off the evil spirit of the palace and protect the buildings from catching fire. Apparently, they didn't work very well because the building was struck down by lightning only 100 days after its completion in 1420. The current palace was already the 5th version, which was reconstructed in 1695. It is old, it is not the original from 1420. The lightning rod on the top of the building were installed in 1958. Pretty recent. Okay. So we'll be seeing a lot of mythical animals in this place. Do you want to try to get a little bit closer to that gate to see something inside? It's pretty dark. So follow my finger to that direction, which is a little bit misty today. So that's the way to the tallest building in Beijing, 530 meters tall, where is called the CBD of Beijing, Central Business District. That building stands at, yeah, a little bit misty. We can still see the outline of that building. So 530 meters with 108 floors above the ground, 7 floors below the ground. And follow my finger to that way with that building, like a clock stays on the top of the building. That's the earliest, the first shopping mall established in Beijing after 1950s, after the founding of the People's Republic of China. That is a part of this famous long walking street or shopping street. When you take a walk on that area, you'll be seeing all those famous restaurants in that area. There are around 1,000 restaurants were established in that area. So like the Peking duck, hot pot, noodles, and dumpling, the most famous, the 4 of them.
Make their own.
The noodles, the handmade noodles, Beijing type noodles, which is mixed with freshly chopped vegetables and the pork paste. Yeah, that's the most popular noodles in Beijing. There are more than 100 types of noodles throughout the whole country, but we prefer the Beijing noodles. So you can find all those restaurants in that area. So that's our destination, to another pagoda-like building. Follow my finger to that way. We'll be walking from here to that place where we're going to try this Peking duck at noon. Okay? And this building was a place where the emperor to entertain the ministers, officials, and foreign ambassadors during the Qing dynasty. And it seems like a banquet hall, a ballroom. And also the place for that important examinations took place back in the day, which is called the imperial examination, which divided into 4 different levels. It started from the county level, provincial level, national level, and imperial level. The imperial level examination took place here once every 3 years. So on that day for the imperial examination, 300 scholars come from all over the country would take examination over here. The emperor would select the best scholars to be the officials and ministers of the country. So that is the most important one. That's the ultimate goal for all those scholars to achieve back in the day. That system worked out in China for more than 1,300 years. And also, that is the most important passage for the commoners to mobilize social status from a commoner to the minister to the officials and bring the glory to your family.
To be only 300 people out of
a
such a large country, large population.
From 3 million scholars.
Elite.
Yes, a lot of people, they dedicated their whole life for taking part in those examinations. And eventually, many of them, I would say 90% of them would not have a chance to pass through the second level of examination, not mentioning the top level examination. So that's why the parents would encourage their boys to study hard, really hard, to stand out of those examinations back in the day. Okay, let's continue. And this is the Empress, the office, where she handled, her daily affairs here. Because the Empress were the ruler in the inner court. All the concubines, eunuchs has to listen to that lady.
What were these rooms?
Oh, these rooms, this is my question to you. For the lower ranking servant, for the servant to reside. So what's the name of the servant?
Eunuchs.
Eunuchs.
Yeah.
So here. The eunuchs, they were not allowed to live in the Forbidden City at night. They work in the Forbidden City during the daytime, had to move out of here at night. But even when they were on duty, they would be sleeping in those small rooms. They are very young. Most of them were being castrated at the age of 7 or 8 years old, when they were very little. Mm-hmm. And apart from their clothes and their hat, very similar, what else do they have in common? What similarities?
Their hats.
Hats are same, clothes are very similar.
Yeah.
No hair?
No hair, no facial hair.
No facial hair.
No hair, because their body part were taken out.
Testosterone?
No testosterone, no hormone to grow the beard. So that's why their face is so smooth.
Yeah.
And most of them coming from those poor families. The families are dying. Food, hunger, money. So they had to sacrifice a boy from the boys to work for the Forbidden City, work for the mansion, where they can receive the money monthly to pull the family out of the poverty.
Okay.
And most of them had a very miserable life. I would say 1 out of 100 had one chance to become very powerful and very wealthy, because they had unique access to the emperor. They had a chance to stay very close to the emperor and the empress. So the emperor or the empress and the other powerful concubines may be influenced by those eunuchs. So that would make them very powerful. But most of them, I would say 99% of them would die miserably. Nobody cares about their life, either life or die. Nobody cares about that. Yes, the last eunuch, this is the last eunuch, died in 1996 at the age of 94 years old. Where you can see the walking dragons on the top of the building. You see the walking dragon? On the top of the building, there's 4 of them at each corner. And so that's actually a private temple of the emperors.
So less dragons? So
Yes, less animal, lower
less
rank,
animals,
lower status.
lower stuff.
And this building was a living quarter. One of the living quarter of the Dragon Lady. She lived in many places in the Forbidden City. So this is the picture of the Dragon Lady. She was very beautiful when she was young. You see?
She was in the movie, wasn't she?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I got your question. What is
So
your?
she was in the movie, wasn't she? They talked about the Dragon Lady in
She was in the movie at the beginning.
Yeah.
After only for several minutes, and then she died. The dragon. Then later, emperor became the emperor. So this is the picture at the age of 20, age of 70. She was very beautiful, and she was selected as the emperor's concubine at the age of 17 from that pageant, like a beauty selection ceremony. And then she bribed those eunuchs. She got more chance to stay with the emperor. And later on, she got pregnant and gave the son to the emperor, the only son of the emperor. And then she was promoted from the bottom level concubine to the second most important lady of the country. And then her husband died at the age of only 31 when the boy was only 6 years old. And after her husband died, the only son of the emperor became the new emperor of the country. That was her son. But the boy was too little to control over the country. Therefore, she would put the son on the throne in the front. She sat behind him with a curtain in between. Behind the curtain, she would tell him what to do and what to say, and access the power for more than 10 years. And then her son was supposed to run the country by himself after turning 18, after getting married. But he died at the age of 19. And then the lady pick up another boy from the royal family. That was her sister's boy at the age of only 4 years old to be the new emperor of the country. Why the little boy is because she wanted to continue control the power behind the curtain. And then she continued exercise the power behind the curtain for another 20 years. When that boy turned to the age of 28, that boy wanted to run the country by himself. He wanted to reform the country for modernization, but the dragon lady, she brutally suppressed that reform and put that emperor on the house arrest for 10 years, put her nephew on the house arrest for 10 years. And it said that she poisoned her nephew, that emperor. And before the emperor passed away, she picked up another boy from the royal family. That was the last emperor at the age of only 3 years old. And the second emperor from the end of the Qing dynasty died one day before the dragon lady passed away. Yeah. Okay, so she lived here for around 10 years. And this she just restored or rebuilt this area and modified a little bit. And as a Peking opera stage, it said that in 1884, she enjoyed this Peking opera show right here on this stage consecutively for 15 days to celebrate her birthday. And the last resident ever lived inside this palace was this lady, concubine Wan Rong, this lady. The last emperor who had 2 wives. One is the empress, one concubine in 1922 when he got married. And this is the empress. She got along pretty well with the emperor, but the emperor didn't like this lady, never slept together with this lady. This lady was the last resident in this palace. And these 2 ladies, they didn't get along very well because both of them want to win the favor from the emperor. And then when they were kicked out of here in 1924, they fly to Tianjin, and she made an announcement on the newspaper, requiring the emperor to sleep with her at least once a week. Otherwise, she's going to divorce the emperor. The emperor, ignored that announcement, and then she divorced the emperor.